Everyone. Welcome to this Creative Warrior online program powered by Vidyadan. Uh, on behalf of Media and Entertainment Skills Council, this is Pooja Arora welcoming you all to this wonderful series going on in association with Global Media Education Council. Yes, it's a wonderful series going on, and we have conducted multiple sessions on journalism and media literacy. But today's session is really important. It's talking about media literacy as human rights. Now, when we talk about human rights and media literacy, there are a lot more that's required to know as a layman, as a person. Now, to guide us on the same today, we have with us a very talented, a very multi-talented, I would say, Dr. Archana Kumari. She is Assistant Professor, Department of Mass Communication and New Media, Central University of in Jammu and Kashmir. She is a passionate researcher and was selected as a principal lead South Asia for Journalism Education and Trauma Research Group by University of Lincoln, United Kingdom. She has performed as a fact-checking trainer and has actively conducted over 30 fact-checking workshops all over India and trained around 2000 journalists and journalism students in past 2 years. She has an association with media literacy campaign Fact Shala and BBC Young Reporter. So it's so good to have Dr. Archana Kumari here with us on this platform.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and for such a fabulous introduction. This is my passion towards research and media literacy, and to raise awareness about media literacy among the students as well as common people. That I have selected this topic, that how intrinsic media literacy is, and how can we prove that it is just like human rights. It's not something which is nowadays. It is the need of the hour. Everybody should have not only responsibility, but should have this right to get proper information, proper media information. They must literate about media, because we can't put onus on the media industry. We know that this has become an industry. It has completely transformed from mission to profession to profit oriented market. So nowadays the onus is on audience. It is on us. We have to be media literate. We have to be smart enough to understand. We have to be aware about our right. And that is why this topic I have chosen. So should I go ahead? Should I share my PPT?
Yes, ma'am. It's a wonderful topic, and I'm so glad that we have a webinar series with GMEC where we are coming up with media literacy as a human right. It's going to be really interesting. So I'll be at the back end. Session is over to you.
Thank you very much, Pooja ma'am. And I'm just sharing my PPT with all of you. So media and information literacy, when we call it media and literacy, we forget that the main ingredient of media is literacy. And it is very important for all of us to understand what are our rights and what are our responsibilities. So whenever we talk about media and information literacy, it is not only with rights, it is also with responsibility. We have to acknowledge that, and we have to understand that. So why we are so much concerned about information? Because information need is very important. Information is power. We have been talking about it. We have been talking about that, how information is the big power nowadays. We have info wars going on. So, but beyond those wars and beyond those power structures, we are common people, and we also should have access to reliable information in our life, and that is how we take our decision. For human progress, for democracy, for each and every small decisions, we need information. Without information, we cannot understand how to respond to certain kind of situation, how to respond to events, and how to shape up our lives, how to shape up the world, how to take control of our life. Without information, we will lose that control on our life. So information is very important. Information is life and blood of today's life, and it is power. And if you are informed enough, you have to understand that all kind of information is not so filtered, and everything is coming to you is not good information. So good information also matters a lot. You should know, in media literacy, it is very important that we are overloaded and over flooded with information. Everywhere we have so many sources of information. We are coming across a lot of information in our everyday life. But what is good information? What is the important information which is helpful for us? And what good information leads to good decisions? Because if you don't have a complete and correct and good information, you can't take good decision. It will help individuals to understand the challenge they confront. So during COVID time, we have seen that if you are well informed, then you can take a better decision. So many times what happened is people were confused, and due to that confusion, a lot of fake information was there in the market. So if we have correct information, if we have good information, we can challenge and we can face the situation in a better manner. We can be better prepared. So it also helps us in evolving environment. Like there are SOPs, standard operating procedures during COVID time. How do we know about it? How do we understand that, okay, we have to wear mask, we have to carry sanitizer, because this environment is evolving, our behavioral pattern is evolving, and for that we need information, and information is coming from media. So if information is not there, and good information, correct information is not there, we will be jeopardizing our lives, our health, everything. If we want to care for our family, for that also we need good information. If we have to vote, we must have good information. We have correct must have correct information, so that we get knowledge about the not only the candidates, but the elections ecosystem, the political ecosystem, what is going on where. And certainly we can take control of our life if we have good information, control of our body if we have good information. So good information and correct information is very, very important for our lives. There are many examples of good information, like should I vaccinate my child? And now children vaccination is a very important point. Lactating mothers vaccination is a very important point. There were a lot of confusions and questions regarding that, whether lactating mothers should get vaccinated or not. And even doctors were struggling with these kind of questions. So the correct information and good information is very much important in case of your life, in case of your health. Also, we must question that how do we know that someone is an expert? Everyone on social media is preaching something, is giving you expert advice, but whether he or she is really expert or not, that we must know. Uh, what is government doing regarding many things, regarding climate change, regarding your health issues, regarding your education? What is government doing? How do we know about it? We have to understand, we have to get it only by correct and good information. Why is there are also many questions we must ask, that why is someone trying to send me a particular content? What is the idea? What is the interest of that person behind sending that particular content? What kind of emotions they want me to evoke? What kind of emotion they want evoke inside me? Because many times you feel that we all are patriotic, we all are very much passionate towards our country, but somebody is trying to take advantage of it by sending a message that, okay, don't call your country India, call it Bharat. So what kind of, they are trying to take advantage, they are trying to touch upon the vulnerable side of me, and that is why it is there where you should question that what emotion they want me to respond to. And during COVID time, we have seen that there were many queries whether the drug stores will be opened, whether petrol pumps will be there, whether petrol will be available. Should I wear face mask in public during the coronavirus? So these are the questions, and these are some of the informations which we need to lead our life. And we have seen that, we have faced that, we have lived that. Also, information as a human rights. What is the Indian perspective? Why am I calling that it is a human right nowadays? Because the concept of human development is directly linked to human right. We cannot develop the humanity, the basic human responsibilities and their advantages, their basic human rights should be there. Only then human development is possible. A right-based approach is very much important because it makes you accountable. It makes the government accountable. If something is my right, I will ask for it and I will demand for it. It is not that somebody is patronizing me or somebody is giving us charity. So a right-based approach demands participation in governance. It demands participation in development. It guarantees access to information, and it is very important for all of us to understand that, okay, right is very important than any kind of charity. So with the lack of access to information, people will be completely unaware of the developmental schemes, and they will be completely unequipped to engage in information participation in their own development, even if given a chance. So there are many policies, there are many steps which government is taking. There are many kind of welfare schemes are there. But if we don't know about it, if we don't know that how to take advantage of it, how will we get benefited? How will it be implemented? How will be the result coming out? So there is a huge communication gap at the level of implementation as well as at the level of announcement. So if something is announced, whether it is implemented or not, if the people are informed it about or not, if they have heard about it but they don't know how to access it, how to get advantage of it. So lack of access of information actually creates a lot of problem. And even if government is trying hard and they are sharing a lot of they are actually implementing a lot of welfare schemes, if people do not know about it, people will not be able to get benefit of it. So information for democracy is also important because the right to information is a basic right, and it underpins good governance, democracy, poverty eradication, the practical realization of human rights. So right to information is the key to all these rights. Right to information is actually basic right that provides you all kind of access to governance, democracy, poverty eradication, practical realization of human rights. So all these things are not only on paper, you can actually get it if you have the right to get the information. Good governance is not achieved simply by having efficient government or even a democratically elected government. Good governance is achieved when all the people are informed enough. They can actually get the information which they need and they can use it for practical purposes. The norm of freedom of information and the assurance of widespread citizen participation in public affairs and an active civil societies are essential for the full realization of democracy. And how the civil society be active if they don't have information? So information is the key, and getting information, right to information, is the key to participate in a democratic setup, in a government setup and a system of government which is responsible to the need of its citizen, and to develop a culture of human rights and accountability. Because whenever we call that this is my right, we are holding someone responsible, someone accountable to work it through. So right-based approach is very important, and that is why I told and I am saying that okay, media and information literacy is a human right. The recognition of right to information is crucial to achieve these ends. Hence, the need for a guaranteed and legislated right to information is there. So there is always a need to have that. Okay, it should be treated like a human rights, and it should be given, not only given, but it should be demanded by the people also. Information as a right, and right to information has not explicitly been recognized in Indian constitution. It is there, but it is interpreted through various decisions that a right to information is a part of right to freedom of speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a) of the Indian constitution. Supreme Court of India has also said that the right to know is an integral part of the right to life, and unless one has the right to information, the right to life cannot be exercised. So there are underlying layered, there are underlying decisions, there are underlying indirect decisions which are saying that okay, right to know should be there, right? It is an integral part of right to life, but it is not explicitly given in the constitution. It is not explicitly recognized in Indian constitution. So why I'm calling it information as a human right? Because the realization of human right is dependent on a democratic society where people are empowered with information and knowledge and are able to scrutinize the functioning of their government and are capable of participating in a meaningful manner in the governance of the community. So whatever we are doing, whatever our government is doing, whatever our society and community is doing, and what are its action, what kind of effect its action is generating, that can be questioned, that can be appreciated, that can be realized only when we are realizing it in the form of human right. Okay, the right RTI law is a tool as it gives entitlement and the mechanism to obtain information from the government. Which citizens can become with it, citizens can become empowered by acquiring a weapon to hold the government accountable, participate in governance, and exercise their rights. So it's a tool, but it is not realized as a full-fledged right in our constitution. So that is why it is very important. It is high time right now that right to know knowledge, right to inform it should be given a status of human rights everywhere. So, how to ensure implementation? Because we must keep it in mind that mere enactment of a law does not mean that government will start implementing it in an effective manner. Okay, so just enactment of law means not implementation. Okay, we have to come forward. We have to have the coordination of civil society organization, NGOs, and they have a responsibility to ensure effective implementation. So, all of them should coordinate with each other. And whenever something is already implemented or enacted, in order to make it implement and to actually reach out to the bottom of the society and everywhere, it is required that there should be a coordination of all these organizations, and their responsibility is there. And the implementation of right to information law is also very much important in this regard. They have a very important role to play. For example, using the law for the benefit of the people, disseminating information, analyzing information, generating debate on various issues, and carrying out the voice of the voiceless to policymakers, because it is not one-way communication. So whatever policymakers are, whatever policy or schemes are being made, at the implementation level, if there is some problem, or if there is any feedback, or there is any kind of issues being raised, that has to reach to the policymakers also. The feedback should reach to the policymakers. So it's a two-way communication where we also require such chain of organization which not only not only communicate the policies and schemes to the stakeholders, but also and the needy, but also the feedback to the policymakers. So this ensures implementation of every policy, and this ensures implementation of right to knowledge or right to information. How it comes under the purview of international human rights law. So it was Indian perspective. I just want to give you one international perspective, because the evolution of human rights or right to information in international human rights law was very slow, and it also evolved very slowly. International human rights bodies such as United Nations Human Rights Committee, the European Court of Human Rights, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, and the European Committee on Social Rights have today accepted the existence of a right to information in certain circumstances. So they have accepted, but they have not given it a full-fledged status under their resolution. So this has invariably occurred in the context of securing of other rights. Means if there are other rights and there is a condition of right to information also, they have given it certain kind of a space, but not accepted it as a full-fledged right, including both civil and political and economic and social rights. So there are many rights under which right to information is there somewhere, but it is not explicitly being shown into the international platform also. So what is its foundation? If we want to find out that, trace it, that from where it comes, we have right to freedom of expression, we have right to take part in public spheres, we have the right to respect for private life, we have right to a fair trial, we have right to life, we have right to economic and social rights, and within these rights, this right to information and right to knowledge is seated somewhere. So it's not that there we have just like these rights, we don't have explicit rights, even in international forum, right to media literacy or right to information or right to knowledge. So there are some important quotes which are very important to speak and to highlight here. That Stiglitz, he said that I also believe that greater openness has an intrinsic value. Citizens have a basic right to know. And then we also have a quote from Florini, who argued that access to information is not only a necessary concomitant of the realization of all other rights, but it is also a fundamental human right. So some of the scholars, some of the champions of laws, they have already advocated for such kind of rights, and they have already advocated that it should be considered a human right. But freedom of speech, assembly, association, etc., we have in Indian constitution so many kind of rights, and underneath it the right to information is seated somewhere and it is established somewhere, but it is not given a full-fledged status. Like Article 19(1), we all know that freedom of speech and expression, that all citizens shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression. All citizens will have right to assemble peacefully and without arms. All citizens have right to form unions and association. All citizens have right to move freely throughout the territory of India. All citizens have right to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India. But all these rights are explicitly written. Right to information is there somewhere. If in any case it is implemented, then we consider it. If it is not implemented, we do not consider it. It is high time that we look at it as a separate right. freedom of speech, assembly, association, etc., are already there. The United Nations Development Human Rights Commission, which was established in 1948, it also says that under Article 19 that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. Under Article 21, it says that everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. Under Article 23(4), it says that everyone has the right to form and join trade unions for the protection of his rights. Under Article 22, it says that no one may be compelled to belong to an association. And under Article 12, Section 1, it says that everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. So these kind of freedoms and these kinds of rights are already established under human rights, international human rights law. But it's not that we are demanding only right. We have to be dutiful and accountable also. So information is also an accountability. Transparency and accountability is very important for any government, for any of the system to work and to work in a democratic manner. So access to information is widely linked to the achievement of both transparency and accountability. So if we have access to information, we have to be that has to be transparent and accountable. Transparency can be understood as a means to achieve the end of a more responsive state that more effectively achieves democratically agreed upon it. So transparency can be understood. We very crudely understand what is transparency, but it makes the state more responsible. It makes the state more responsive also. Everything is in public domain and it is also democratically agreed upon. Its scope extends beyond access to information, and it is clear nonetheless that access to information plays a pivotal role in the achievement of transparency. So if you have access to information means it is already transparent. Okay, so transparency makes the access to information very easy, very clear. Social functionings, while Bovins also acknowledged role of information rights in enhancing social control and democratic accountability of government, he links access to information to a broader concept of citizenship, which concerns first and foremost the social functioning of the citizens, not only in relation to the public authorities, but also in their mutual relations and their relations with private legal entities. So it's not that citizens are only asking questions to public authorities, but they are also mutually responsible towards each other, and their relation with private legal entities is also very important. So social functioning of people is also questioned, and it is also studied under information literacy as a human rights in this section. So access to information does not mean that citizenship would have all the merit and all the right to only question the government, but they also have concerns that whether citizens themselves are socially functioning, or they themselves are responsible enough towards each other, or towards the public properties, or towards the mutual relations between private legal entities and the social system. So there he acknowledges the role of information in enhancing more social control and democratic accountability of the government, and he links this to the responsibility and the responsibility as well as accountability on the people also. Is there any specified right to correct and fair information? That is a very important question. Where do you get information from? What are the source of information for you? If I would say in a nutshell, there is, I designed a quiz also, but I'm not going for it. I'm just telling you that there is a challenge of overwhelming flood of misinformation. Nowadays, a lot of informations are coming. We don't know which is correct, which is not correct. And that is why media literacy is very important. And we have access to internet, and we have access to not only internet, but this access is increasing. Means 650 million people online in India, where into 2020 today it is almost 680 million people, and India has become the second largest number of internet users in the world. India's 50% population have access to internet, and India is the largest user base for platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube. So all the social media platforms, they have very big market in India. In India, internet is no longer an elite or urban commodity. So all rural people, small city people, they are also using internet a lot. It is seen that out of 3 searches on Google, 2 comes from outside the metros, from the other cities. And local language searches has increased by 10 times. So these kind of estimates and data, you can see that how the proliferation of internet and digital media is increasing so rapidly in India. Social media scenario is not so changed. Means we have 70,000 plus searches on Google every second. We have 50 crore blogs are written every day. We have 500 hours of videos are uploaded on YouTube every minute. We have 35 crore photos are uploaded on Facebook every day. We have 50 crore people on Instagram who are putting their stories on Instagram every day. And we have 6,000 tweets are posted on Twitter every second. So you can just imagine how big this social media world and virtual world is there out there. So actually, some people correctly say that Facebook is not a social media site. It's a country. It's a virtual country. So actually, so many people on Facebook and so many people on other social media platforms. It shows that our digital media, our social media scenario is blasting. Not only booming, it is blasting. So why is social media prone to misinformation? This is very understandable, but still I am trying to give some facts and some kind of bullet points that why is that social media is so much prone to misinformation, because all kind of misinformation mostly we come across, it comes through social media. Because on social media everyone is a publisher, you, me, everyone can publish anything with a click of with a click you can post anything. And we all have a printing press in our hands. In earlier times it was very difficult to get something or publish something in media, but now it is very easy for everyone. There is all type of communication is possible, person to person communication, organization to people communication, many people communicating to many people. So all dynamics of communication is possible on social media. Example of unknown person who published something that becomes viral means any unknown person, you don't know how you are connected with so and so on Facebook or Instagram. He might be friend of your friends, and you don't know personally that person, but still he or she publishes anything and you come across those messages, and sometimes you feel like sharing it. So many times we are very much prone to misinformation on social media. Traditional media had some kind of sanctity. Traditional media was had a verification system. Even today, even though traditional media also falls prey to fake information or misinformation many times, but still it has a verification process in place. But so in social media, there is no verification, there is no gatekeeping or editors there. In social media, a raw information is published and news only when it is verified and cross-checked from reliable sources by reporters and editors. But on social media, you don't need it. One swipe, all it takes. So actually, social media, it is very easy to publish and to post anything, while on traditional media, it is very difficult. So at least some level of verification process and sanctity is still maintained on traditional media. There are many consequences of fake information, and that is why we are worried. But that is why we are talking about media literacy and information literacy, because false information costs lives. Means people have were lynched, people were killed only due to a false WhatsApp rumor that some people are kidnapping children, and due to that, some people were lynched. And in 2018, 29 people lost their life only due to some WhatsApp rumor. In Iran, there was rumor that drinking alcohol is effective against COVID-19. So 700 people died after consuming toxic alcohol, believing that alcohol will prevent themselves from coronavirus infection. So media literacy is very important, and that is why it is also a right as well as a responsibility. And how I'm going to prove it, because when rumors spread, rumors spread through a process. There is a devious content, it is circulated online, there is a panic and concern among people, then misleading information is there, action on false information is taken, means people are believing it, many people believe it and they start sharing it, and that creates damage to the society. Sometimes this damage is irreversible. Sometimes it is only for fun, that okay, I'm sharing it because I got it and it is very humorous, but sometimes it is really damaging, and this damage is long lasting. This damage is really irreversible, and you cannot take this upon you when something happens to any person or something happens to any community or any kind of any kind of the gender or any kind of the system. If some kind of injuries, some kind of damage to the life happens, then certainly it is much more severe, and it is then you must take cognizance of that why you have or anyone has spread those kind of rumors. Information versus news. This also we have to understand that all information is not news. Whatever we take, I did a quick survey in my classroom and I found that most of my students are getting information as news from social media. And they don't understand that on social media, everything is not news. All information which is coming on social media, all information you are getting as a sponsored material is not news. So information is different and news is different. Information can be an ingredient of news. News is essentially information, but all information is not essentially news. So we must understand in media literacy that we must understand information is different and news is different, and we have to understand that what is the relationship between them. Then also news versus opinion means all opinions are also not news. So we have to understand that there are many people who are, and many species which has written as opinion on social media. Also people are expressing their opinions, but those are not news. So you might be impressed by somebody's opinion, but you cannot take it as a factual information, and you cannot take it as a factual news. So first of all, you must understand what is information neighborhood. Information neighborhood is very important because what is coming from where you are taking information, what is your information neighborhood, what is the ecosystem of your information gathering. So that is important. And information neighborhood, if you understand that what are the sources of information for you, you can easily filter out that which sources are not reliable. So misinformation, we must understand that any information that is false, but people who are disseminating it believes that it is true, that is misinformation. So we must understand that sometimes unknowingly and unconsciously we are sharing something in the good faith that okay, it is useful for our peer group, so that is why we are sharing it, but many times it is misinformation. This information is something which is false, but the people who are disseminating it think that it is true. So it is a deliberate, intentional lie. So there also we have to be very careful that some people are doing it deliberately, and why are they doing it? We must question the source of the information. We must question the intention of the person who is sending some information to you. So why media literacy? Because people tend to trust network of friends and family for news, and these organic formations are reflected and exacerbated by social media platforms. It's not that people are trusting it's not that people are trusting Facebook, or people are trusting Twitter, or people are trusting Instagram. People are trusting those who are you're known. People are trusting you as a person, as a friend. People are trusting whenever you share something, they trust you. They do not trust WhatsApp. So it is very organic network of friends. It is very organic form of information, and due to human relationship, due to emotional relationship, many times on social media we find that people are sharing information because we believe that okay, our friends will not lie to us, our relatives will not lie to us, and that trust on our people and our relatives is much bigger than the platform. So it's not that platform which is responsible. We have to be responsible, and that is why media literacy. Because if people are trusting me, I have to be responsible enough. I have to be literate enough, and I have to share only with responsibility. I have to share information only with responsibility, so that my people, my peer group, my friends, my family members do not fall prey to fake information or bad information. And there is a lot of mechanism of filter bubble. I think we all have heard this word, because if you see that on Facebook or on Twitter, on Instagram, there is a filter bubble. The information which you like, they will send you similar information again and again, and you will be surrounded by the information you prefer. So just to provide content based on a user's search history, sharing history, your likes, your dislikes, they will provide you, they will feed you those content. Okay, so it is kind of filter bubble. You don't come across the counter point of view. You will be happy in yourself because you will be feeded by you will be fed by only those kind of information which you like. uh, and this creates a echo chamber. So you will, your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own likings will always echo inside you, and it will harden your attitude. It will create an stereotype inside you. So your pre-existing biases through the creation of echo chambers will exist, and not only exist, they will grow. So that is also one very big I would say that lacuna of social media which we consume every day. And how can we bring it under the aegis of human rights? Because if so much things is happening, how can we actually argue that it should be human rights and it should be accountable enough? Because according to Sen, the recognition of claims as human rights depends on their capacity to survive open public scrutiny. So anything which is under open public scrutiny, that can be considered as human rights. So, right to life is under open public scrutiny. Nobody would say that, okay, right to life is not a human right. So, similarly, right to information is also today under the open public scrutiny. On the basis of this test, I'm arguing that it can be said to be, it meets the requirements of recognition as an intrinsic right. And why intrinsic right? That I will tell you that why I'm emphasizing on intrinsic right, because media and information literacy can be recognized as an intrinsic human right. And why intrinsic human right? Because intrinsic rights are standalone rights. It has no limitation on nature of rights. It is not individualistic in nature. Rather, it is a collective right. It has no negative effect of others' life. Rights means it will not encounter or encroach your right. My right will not encroach your right. So such a right for media and information literacy is hard to resist, because why I am arguing it, it has a lot of advantage. There are a lot of advantages of intrinsic rights. So it should be an intrinsic right. Right to information literacy and information and media literacy should be intrinsic right, because there is no limitation on the nature of right. There is no individual right. There is a collective right for information. It has no negative impact on other rights. And also, such kind of right is essential for media industry and for the people at this time, because there is a huge pervasive flow of fake information everywhere. So I feel that that's enough. These are some of the references. If you have any questions and anyone has any question, you can just uh, pose it right now. So this was my case, that how I wanted to prove that so information and media literacy should be considered as human rights, and there are certain parameters within this, within which we can consider that, and within which we can put it as a human rights, and we can argue that can be put as a human rights. And there are certain advantages of considering it as a human rights, and especially as an intrinsic right. And this is my case. And Pooja ma'am, and good morning, Amrish sir. Thank you very much for joining this session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Risa, for joining us. Dr. Archana Kumari, it was wonderful. You have put your, the best information available on having media literacy as a human rights. In this series in GEMEC, since day one, we have been talking about media literacy to be added from school level. So it's a right of everyone, even for a student, at a tender age of 10 years and 12 years, they fall a trap of fake news. So it's really important, and making it as a human right, it's something which should be done. What's your say, Amrisa?
Yeah, definitely. The presentation I was listening to Dr. Archana Kumari, it was very informative. And obviously, the way she presented it and linked it to human rights, that's definitely a completely new approach. Uh, we talk about human rights, we talk about so many related things, and but then the way the media literacy and particularly fake news and how we can save ourselves from the onslaught of fake news, because fake news is definitely an attack on an individual's rights.
Yes.
So there has to be some kind of mechanism, some kind of system wherein citizens can save themselves from this. And if this is covered under the human right, this will completely a new look, new approach to the whole thing. So I really appreciate Dr. Archana Kumari to look at the whole media literacy issue from this concept. It will definitely, if it is taken forward and somehow it happens that it is covered under human rights, it will be completely altogether a new thing, an original idea, no doubt.
Thank you very much, sir.
True. So also at the same time, this is going to support the country, of course, when the the children, the youth, and the future of our country agrees and accepts and know their rights from
Yeah.
the right age. Ma'am, I have one question here. It's from Shivani. Shivani wants to know what is the process, and if other students can also support in adding this thing as a human rights.
Yeah, actually, the thing is that right now we are only advocating it. We are at a very, very surface level. We are advocating that it should be considered because it is high time. But you see that it needs a top-down approach. Once United Nations will accept it, although they have this kind of process under different kind of laws. I told you that there is no explicit law or explicit right, but under different kinds of rights, it is being considered. And even in India, Supreme Court has considered it under different kind of rights, but it has not considered it explicitly. So it is not something upon us that we are not lawmakers, so we cannot do that, but we can always advocate for that. We can do the best advocacy in education system. We can do the best advocacy as students, as scholars, as teachers. And if somebody would be listening and somebody would like this idea, then certainly in near future I am sure that people will take it up. And because right now it is damaging the whole society collectively. It's not individual, something individual, that some crime happened against me. It is something which has happened against the whole society, the whole system. So actually that is why I told that intrinsic right is very important, because intrinsic right is a collective right. And we have to understand this difference between these kind of rights. And that is why when we call it that there should be a collective right, and human right are always collectives. It is for the people, it's not for one person. So that is why we are making this case that okay, if media and information literacy, if such a pervasive use of fake news is there, this should be the collective rights of all the people, and we are advocating for that. So the students can also take it up, read about it, if they can find out more ways out through which we can actually influence the governments and the organizations. That will be great to find it out. And being an academician, this is our role, that we investigate things, we try to suggest things, and being an academician, we can advocate for things. So this advocacy is being done on this platform. So I just request all those students who are interested that they can also take it further. They can read about it. They can send something if they find something to me also. I am trying to project it also at various international organizations and platforms where this is also an international platform. So I'm trying to say these things. And if there is any project, anything which will come up, then certainly I will try to advocate it there also. So this is within our capacity. Whatever we can, we will do. But we are not lawmakers, so we cannot make a law out of it, but we can advocate for it.
Yes, ma'am. And nowadays, our advocacy is being heard at
Yeah.
various levels. So it's a right time to talk about such things, because now social media is such a powerful tool that it can spread things in in a moment.
Yes, ma'am. So true.
So let's hope for the best. And as this thing comes in human rights booklet, then it will be marvelous, because yes, everybody has a right for information, not just adults, it's also for the children.
Yes.
And on a similar ground, tomorrow we will be discussing about just a minute. So tomorrow, what we are planning to do, tomorrow we'll have Dr. Pankaj Jain with us. He is a wonderful and a very renowned TEDx speaker, and he's a founder of smhawksailor.com. He is giving a webinar on misinformation, which is again linked to the topic that we were discussing today. So stay tuned for this webinar tomorrow. I am sure we will have more advocacy towards what we were discussing in today's session. This series is so much linked with each other. Yesterday we were talking about media literacy for highways. Today we are talking about media literacy for as a human right. And tomorrow we'll be discussing about misinformation, which is really deadly. And I'll take one more live question, ma'am. It's a question of Siddharth. Siddharth wants to know what can be done to improve on the rights of students as they just spread what they are hearing from teachers or seniors. Okay.
So actually, that is why media literacy and information literacy, so that we can be responsible enough. We know that what is correct and what to share, what not to share. So there are so many things. First of all, in media literacy, we always advocate for critical thinking. And first, you evaluate and assess the content. You should not share everything which is coming to you, and whatever they hear, and they without any responsibility, if they are spreading it outside, that means they really require media literacy, the media and information literacy. So it's not that something which is only students are facing. All of us in our society, sometimes in our families also, we have to counsel people that, okay, please think twice before sharing something, before forwarding something, because it might be wrong. So it's not only the problem of the students, but it's also the problem of the whole society right now, that we are so much on social media and so much addicted to it, which is by design, which is not by default, which is by design. We are addicted to it, that if there is any kind of information, we have this syndrome of me first, and instantly we want to share it, and we want to just send it as many people as we can. And that is why this kind of me first syndrome is inspiring everyone to share everything. And this is why media and information literacy is very much required. And if we understand it, we try to know that what is our rights and responsibilities, then only we will actually behave in a responsible manner, and we will not spread anything which is coming to our way. We will just evaluate it, assess it, and then only we will take a decision whether we should share it or not share it. As I told you, that onus is on us. Onus is not on the media and on other organizations. It is on us. We have to be smart enough. We have to be literate enough, knowledgeable enough to judge and to assess that content is correct or not correct, and whether we should share it or not share it. So I have kept telling in my presentation that it is on us, that we have to be mature audience, and we have to be mature information disseminator.
Right, ma'am. With more rights comes more
The
responsibility.
more responsibilities, yes.
So when we are talking about rights, we must not forget about the responsibility that will come along with it. And when we look at students as the future of our country is a young nation. As we look them towards them as a future of the country and future for the globe, for the world, uh, we need to inculcate media literacy about human rights and about information as well
Exactly.
in the students. Yes, ma'am. So with this, I am really thankful for this wonderful session today. It was really very informative.
Thank you very much, Pooja,
I
ma'am.
personally loved it, ma'am.
So that is the success of today's talk, because if you liked it, that is my personal gain. And thank you very much, Amrit sir, for joining it. It's an honor. Thank you, ma'am.
Amrita, would you like to say something at the end? So
Whatever you
you,
said, I agree with you that this whole topic now we are looking into different aspects and perspectives on media and information literacy. As a subject, we all understand that it's really, really necessary for us to indulge into this. And only yesterday, one of the research scholars was inquiring. She is doing a research on a similar area as to where this whole media literacy thing has been introduced in the curriculum. And in fact, Dr. Archana Kumari also responded to my query as to which are the universities where this media literacy program has been initiated or a paper has been introduced in different academic programs. So there's no denial to the fact that this is something which is very in thing, and everybody, those who are in media education, the teachers, the students in the curriculum designing, and otherwise also, like as Dr. Archana Kumari talked about the human rights, otherwise also it is something which is very, very necessary for each one of us, each citizen in the country society to understand the importance of media literacy. And once that whole idea, it's a really an exciting idea, as I already said, that if it is covered under human rights someday, even if it is not covered, because obviously lawmaking is a long process and all fundamental rights are part of the Indian Constitution. So making an amendment is not that easy.
Yes.
But still, if a debate is generated, if a consensus is built, that will also have an impact, and that will empower the citizens to have at least some such thing with which they can save our themselves. And also it becomes then the responsibility of the government to come out with such kind of mechanism wherein there is a check on fake news and all. Something can be added in even in the Indian Penal Code, in the criminal justice system. Those who are deliberately indulging into spreading fake news and creating problems in the society. So there could be a check on those people, and even if this happens, that will be somewhere will protect, will strengthen the fundamental rights of the common citizens. So there is a more and more debate, a need of debate on this issue, and the kind of presentation that Dr. Archana Kumari did, it will go a long way. I am of this firm view. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you
I
very much.
completely agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time today. We are excited to take this conversation forward with the topic of miscommunication tomorrow happening at 11:30. So join us over there, and your certificate of participation for all the candidates will be available on our website vidyadan.net by 5th of October. So candidates watching the session will be able to download their certificates as well. Since till tomorrow, you guys take care, take rest, enjoy, have a good day, and we'll meet tomorrow. Bye bye. Thank you, Archana ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, Amrit
Thank you.
sir.
Bye.